All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Okay, beautiful. Okay, gorgeous. All right. All right. Okay. Okay. Let's get into this. All right, for real this time. Actually, genuinely. Okay. So we're going to take this a couple of ways. I'm going to talk about a few things. Mainly this will just be like a research recording for a more structured video later on. Um so mainly the topic I wanted to talk about today was this thing that I like to call merch slop. It's something that every at least semi even man, almost everybody engages in this honestly crime in my opinion. um a lot of people engage in this absolute sodomy of this art style that I like to say that I enjoy. So if you don't know, a little background about me, um, I went to at least a very little bit of college for printmaking specifically. I learned a lot of the classic ways of doing screen printing and then also like block printing, lino cut, all that stuff, even up to the big machines. I've worked in a couple of screen printing shops myself, some medium, some pretty small ones. I've screen printed my own stuff. I've sold some things myself. I've engaged in the merchery. But something that I wanted to talk specifically about, something I've experienced in, is the relationship that influencers or just anybody with an audience has to merch, my market, right? So everybody has merch. Every YouTuber has merch. Uh, we'll go through a couple of them, but mainly I just wanted to point out like you're gonna see it. It's all the same things. It's not just like, oh, this is what's popular. This is what people buy. Of course, I would make this stuff. No, that's just how the market is because nobody wants to um, actually move outside of their comfort bubble, right? So, and especially for YouTubers and for influencers, you'll be able to tell pretty easily. And I do this myself almost all the time. Um, but you'll be able to tell pretty easily when a YouTuber or an influencer does or does not care about the things that they are putting out. And a lot of them sometimes even have a pretty good heart behind them, like they really do want to put out stuff that people will like and people will wear on a regular basis. So they think that they're making the best choices, but that's not necessarily the case, right? Because we're just doing what is still, even when we take that into account, we're still trying to do what's profitable. And that's really the root of the issue. Because um where a lot of this shape and style comes from is from capitalism trying to make every market as efficient and as profitable as possible, right? So whenever there's a YouTuber with merch, you also have to consider that there is a company that produces that merch. Not only that, but maybe there's also a separate company that distributes that merch. Um, so it's an entire system that you have to understand that even those YouTubers, they don't have any control over the profit, the gross, disgusting profit making tactics of the companies that they just happen to work with, because those are the popular ones. Those are the ones that have the good reviews. Those are the ones that, everybody uses, right? So it's especially, and there was a clip I saw a little while ago from Streamer University, Kai Cenat's Streamer University, where Ludwig is teaching a class, right? And he does a breakdown of the relationship that all of these wannabe huge streamers should follow, and the relationship that they should have with content if they, want to succeed being a streamer, right? Being as big of a streamer as Ludwig is, which, let's be real here, Ludwig is one of the biggest streamers on Twitch. He's pretty huge on YouTube. I don't even know how many subscribers he has on YouTube. Let's take a little look see. Ludwig. 6.7 million subscribers. Yeah, he's making a good amount of money, and a lot of it is just like, clips and stuff from his streams. So while okay, so hold on. I'm gonna not get ahead of myself. I'm gonna show you the clip. So he's Ludwig is teaching this class on the relationship that all of these new streamers should have with the content that they're making, right? So, and he breaks it down in very uh financial terms, and it really put into perspective, like, the relationship that at least these big streamers, the ones making a lot of money, people like Mr. Beast, people like Ludwig, people, just people like that who are really making a lot of money, have to have with the content that they make in order to mm, keep that constant revenue stream, and a growing revenue stream year over year, because that's really the marker of success in capitalism, is not just profit but a growing profit, right? I'm trying to find the part of the video where he talks about. Okay, okay, here, we'll put this here. Go over to scene 2, right? Beautiful, wonderful. Take the audio off of this guy. This is from Ludwig's own VOD, so we'll just listen to it how he says it, right? I don't think the audio is coming in from the goddamn thing. I love technology. I want to blow my fucking brains out. Hold on.
Fail.
Okay, there we go.
Guys, most of you are gonna fail.
What is fail? What do you mean by fail?
What do I mean by fail? Did you feel like you made it when you went to Streamer U? Do you feel like you got an opportunity that you can grasp and you might skyrocket?
Yes, like a
You might have felt
motherfucker.
that. You got excited.
Yeah.
That won't happen for most of you. Here are the stats. Last year's Streamer U. This is last year. People who attended 2025 Streamer U. I looked at their viewership a month before Streamer U.
Right.
The whole group. Off the lowest, 4 viewer change. Lost viewers, opportunity. You can always. All right, streamer. By show of hands, do you want to be a streamer? This question about it. You want to be a streamer, you want that. Maybe you following mixed path guys. Talk about the Kais. We talk of all the streamer in the world, their revenue and their viewership. I have a top 1,000 streamer in the world, and I have a top 10,000 streamer in the world. I'm gonna show you guys all their revenue and their viewership. We're gonna pocket watch. Guys, we're gonna start off. With Mr. Number 95, guys, we were starting off. Excuse me, with myself. I'm gonna show you how much.
I just realized I was fucking muted for that. Completely. I was just talking to y'all. God damn it. I can't do this live shit, bro. I'm fucking stupid. I'm too stupid for this shit, dude. Okay, hold on. So, I paused it because I wanted to point out the fact that he is put. So he starts off by putting himself in a place of authority. I'm a top 100 streamer. I have here next to me a top 1,000 streamer. You know, I'm speaking from a place of authority. I know what I'm talking about. So when I say what I'm about to say, know that this is the relationship that I believe that the best authority on this topic, he wants them to believe. This is the relationship that you should have with your content and with the even just the creative aspects of yourself. This is the relationship that you should have with it if you want to be a top streamer, right? And then I wanted to point out also that notice that in any speech, in any presentation, the first thing you talk about and the last thing you talk about are going to be the things that the people remember, right? So the fact that he starts off with saying, "Oh, I'm on a pocket watch. We're going to talk about revenue and viewership." Maybe overtly, maybe subconsciously, he specifically even says revenue and viewership. He puts revenue over viewership. You know, even in just a language sense, he's not even really trying to make that connection, but he is subconsciously. And that's the main issue, right? So it's the fact that all of these people in this room, including Ludwig, put such an importance on revenue and on pocket watching and on how much money you're making. You know, even over that arbitrary goal of like viewership, right? So, which for a long time was just that was the thing, right? Just, oh, I got this many views, I'm viral and shit, you know. But nowadays, even revenue has trumped that because let's be real here, the economy's so shit, everybody's trying to get their fucking money up. So you can't really blame anybody for being focused on that. But that really is the root of this issue. Okay, so let's keep fucking listening to him.
Money I make. I'm the 95th biggest streamer on Twitch. I also stream on YouTube. It doesn't include that, but I'm like maybe top 100, somewhere in there, right? These are my metrics. If they line up with yours, okay, then your revenue will probably be similar to mine. I don't stream nearly as much as some other guys. I have 9,500 subs. All right. For me specifically, okay, we're going to go through some expenses that I have. Here's my expenses. This is just the month of June. Everything here is for the month of June. Payroll, $225,000. That is for the 15 employees that I have. Next, travel, $55,000. That's a higher number than normal. I ran an event. I had to fly a bunch of streamers out. That's that travel expense. Next up, events. That is the production of the event. Nice.
Nice.
Next, marketing. Again, similar for the
Nice.
event. It's another $10,000. Final total for the month of June is just the expenses, what I spent, $359,000.
Wow.
This was just for the month of June, yes. Question?
That's exactly what a 9-to-5 making a year, but yours is good.
That is way more than most 9-to-5ers make in a year, yeah. All right, now's the fun part, guys. Now's the fun part. How much do you get to make?
So this is important to point out too. He's established that this is just what I'm spending in a month, right? Like obviously this was a bit of a higher month for him because he had an event and shit, but this is just what I'm spending in a month, baby. Just, think about how much money I'm making if this is just what I'm spending, So he's really just laying it on thick for these people that this is the relationship that you should have because look at me, I'm successful, He's really just trying to establish that. He's using that I think it's what's that? Ethos or logos? I don't fucking remember.
How much do you get to make, y'all? All right, this was the event that I did, by the way. That's why some of the costs were higher. The payroll's normal. I did an event called MCSR Ranked. World Championships is a Minecraft speedrunning event. Anyway, let's talk about how much I made. How did I pay for all of that? Well, good news for me. Merch sales. I got $7,800.
Wow.
Not bad. YouTube. That's just the YouTube revenue. This includes YouTube live streams, shorts, and videos. 270,000.
Holy shit. What's Twitch?
Twitch gonna be smaller for me, guys. I do not make as much on Twitch. 57,000. I only run about 6 minutes of ads an hour. I have 9,500 subs. That's about what you make for that. The biggest bulk of my money, though, I made a pivot in my life. I decided I wanted to stop being viewer funded. All right, I did a subathon. I had the most subs any streamer did. I had like an average of 20, 30,000 subscribers. I ran a higher density of ads. And then I said, you know what? I don't feel good as a multi-millionaire getting these people to pay me money. I didn't like getting 100 gifts. It made me feel weird. I'm going to start pivoting to get most of my bread from sponsors. That's the biggest cut of this. Okay, I'm a Red Bull athlete. I have an AT&T sponsorship, and I also have an Alienware partnership. These are long-term partnerships. All right, and I do one-off deals as well, as you guys do. This number's 800,000. Okay? So the total for the month of June, 1.1 mil. Okay? Now, this is the flashy number. This is the top 100. Why am I showing you this? It is not just a flex, although I am flexing. It is because this is what you get to see. This is what people love to show you. They love to show you the top 100. But you guys aren't top 100. Not all of you, at least. Some of you in this room are. Maybe you want.
God damn it. I keep not unmuting my microphone, but fuck. Yes, he is bragging. He's bragging like a motherfucker. He's really, really laying it on thick. And it's for it's for the they even did that shot, right, where they turn the camera to that other streamer and he's just like, holy shit, he's got that fucking surprised look on his face. You know, like that's the point of this whole like beginning of this uh dog. Am I still? He's really just laying it on thick for these people.
20, 30,000
Motherfucker, I hate when
subscribers.
this happens.
I ran a higher density.
He is brag. Okay, shit, dude. This whole fucking thing is fucking with my equilibrium, dog. This whole thing is fucking with my equilibrium. Cause you're the chat is off by a little bit, so I get a little confused. I'm sorry. I love you. All right. So we're gonna continue. Sorry. We'll get back on track. Every time I fucking he's really just laying it on thick. Have a muted for these have a muted.
20, 30,000 subscribers.
Happens,
I ran a higher
oh
density.
my god. He is brag. Oh my god. Okay, shit, dude. This whole fucking thing is fucking with my equilibrium. Okay. There we go. Shit. I got it fixed. Got it fixed. Stop freaking out now. I'm gonna stop freaking out now. Okay. Okay. But yeah, no, the point is that he's laying it on super thick so that all of these streamers in this room, these young streamers in this room, take him on as an authority figure when he says his presentation, right? So, okay. This is super important. I'm going to kind of show my face here for a second. Maybe if I'm lucky, I can kind of do it incrementally. Oh my god. Do it. We'll scooch on over little by little. Hold on. Oh. 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 Look at that. Okay. You can sort of see that number right there. That's the important number right there. This is the important number right here. Merch. He puts it up. Merch. In the month of June, I made $7,800 in merch. That's the first thing he puts, and while it is the lowest number, he kind of just throws it up there as like a throwaway, right? He kind of throws it up there as like a throwaway. There's and that's kind of that's the main thing I wanted to highlight here is that he doesn't give a fuck about his merch. He doesn't give a fuck about how I mean, you know, you can boast and you can say that you're spending a lot of time on this stuff, but no, you're hiring people to care a lot about this stuff, but you're just paying the people who you know can make you a profit on those things, right? So he made almost $8,000 in 1 month just on merch, right? So now let's go ahead. We'll take a look. Ugh. Take a look at his merch. He doesn't have much. Maybe I'm missing if he has a different website or maybe if he has a different brand that he sells stuff through. I might have to do more research on that. Well, I mean, shit, we're right here. Well, I'll just do it. Okay. Okay. So we go on his website and you'll be able to identify it a little bit easier when we look at other examples of this, right? So It might even be easier for me to just show you here. It's like a jump scare. Oh no. So, I could go into a whole history about like the use of plastisol inks in the 1960s and how surfers would put, tiny little things right here and huge prints on the back, and how that sort of put into place the the idea of what we know today as like a graphic t-shirt. And because of how graphic t-shirts are the first thing in history to not in history, but the first time a t-shirt or even a clothing item is used to say something literally say something like back in the day you wore shorter skirts, you wore shorter skirts to uh uh make a statement about society and shit. But this was probably the first time in which people were literally like putting images and words onto clothing items to say something, not only about themselves but maybe about the world around them or whatever. Specifically, like a lot of this stuff was first used in the military, because they would have the they would have they would literally take stencils and place them onto t-shirts on just their army issued or air force issued t-shirts. And they would see and they would literally just take paint or whatever and paint it on there. A lot of these paints were just water-based paints, so they would soak into the fabric and stuff. And it had a really nice feeling, in my opinion. It's a lot softer. It's actually like it becomes like it dyes the actual fabric. Whereas like a lot of t-shirts nowadays, they use plastisol ink, and plastisol ink, while you can run it through a washer and stuff as many times as you want, and it won't break down after like a long time of having it. It sits on top of the fabric, and it makes the fabric like feel thicker, and it gives it a weird feel that I've just never been personally a big fan of. Especially with the advent of like puff print and stuff. That's been a really big thing, like having a thicker print. um but so the military mainly used this for just like their training regiments, whatever infantry you were in, your specific company. But this then went into surfers, right? So surfers took plastisol ink, and because they were constantly out in salt water doing stuff like that, they needed, or they wanted, a t-shirt graphic that could stand up to having being beaten with water all the time. So while the commercialization of plastisol inks happened around the 1960s, which then allowed those surfers to do that, right? So they started doing the small little prints on the front and then huge prints on the back. I'm pretty sure the first company to do that was Hurley, if you know what Hurley is. Hold on. Hurley International. There we go. Yeah, these guys. They were the first people to start selling graphic t-shirts specifically for like surfers, for a subculture, because a lot of merch that we know of today is to express your specific subculture. And a lot of the, obviously it blew up because people love to say shit about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. So they political um campaigns would start making merch for themselves. You know, Richard Nixon, I'm pretty sure Eisenhower had merch. Ah, fuck. No, that's not true. That's not true. Fucking lying. What was the first political merch? Political t-shirt. Yeah, Dewey. Thomas E. Dewey. And then let's see what other. I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. Eisenhower. I'm so good at this shit, bro. Eisenhower did do that. But the but people started, you know, using it for politics to say things about themselves. Uh so merch just became that solid area of self-expression, and you could, you know, do a lot of things. You could do some pretty crazy prints, kind of like we're seeing right now. But this is sort of the upper echelon. You know, Teddy Fresh specifically has their own studio. They work on collections, specific seasons. They do drops all the time. This is the upper echelon in terms of capitalist merch um, manufacturing. So when we come to YouTubers, any YouTuber, you'll see that they do what I like to call the merch path of least resistance. So, and then unfortunately, I really do love you, Joe Bart, but I'm gonna have to put you on blast here because you're specifically one of the people that said that you hope that you're not putting out bad merch. And while I wouldn't say that you're putting putting out bad merch, it does suffer the symptoms that I'm talking about, right? So, what is merch slop? As I define it, merch slop is t-shirts, hoodies, sweatpants, um, anything that can be very easily printed on, and that manufacturing companies like Gildan or New York Apparel or LA Apparel or you know, any of those blank manufacturers make a lot of, and a lot of those people, they make a lot of t-shirts, they make a lot of hoodies, they make them in a lot of Eurocentric sizes, they make a lot of sweatpants, they make a lot of sweat shorts. They love yeah. Now, why is that? Because it's a blank canvas. It's pretty easy because it's a blank canvas, and it's very easy to just take a design. You know, you can pay any graphic designer out there to make you maybe even a pretty personalized design. You know, maybe even just like something that might really resonate with your viewers and stuff. But it's still just an image on a T-shirt. You know, an image on a hoodie, uh, maybe a little something on near where the pocket would be on a pair of sweatpants, you know. And while this is fine, while this is okay, I I think that there is a certain, it says something about you and your relationship to the content that you make, right? So let's explore who let's explore somebody who actually think does a really good job of this. Take a little look see. God, he does it good. He does it so good. Now, while, yes, he has a couple of examples of merch slop, I think that any merch manufacturer, so like maybe the company that he's working with, would recommend him to have a couple of these very basic pieces, right? So, a couple of t-shirts, a couple of hoodies, but and I know this for a fact because he talks about it all the time, the stuff that he specifically puts a lot of work into is the shit that I wouldn't consider merch slop. So like this pin, the Google Debunkers pin, I fucking love that. The sticker pack, I absolutely love this poster. As a screen printer, I love that somebody's selling a very unique and well-made poster. It just goes to show how much time and effort he puts into the creation of this merch and what it says about his brand, right? So like all these little pins are so nice. You can't see this one here. Little Google Debunkers badge. Now, at one point, I know for a fact he had a full silver ring on here that was a skull. I know he had a necklace on here at one point. This beautiful poster here that he paid an illustrator to actually take the time to make. Fuck. So, when I say merch slop, it comes from a place of, like I said, yeah, that's exactly what I mean, right? Like, you can pay an illustrator to do whatever you need. And when I was in screen printing, when I was working in these screen printing shops, it was pretty easy to see the kinds of customers we had, right? So they just email us, they just send it in a design, a design that they didn't even make, they paid somebody to do a shit. I know for a fact that a lot of shops right now are taking in a lot of just AI generated stuff. Like they didn't even pay somebody to do it. They just think that you can just, screen print whatever image, even though that's not how that works at all. There's a lot of steps in terms of formatting and actually getting it onto a screen to be printed onto a shirt. But while there are a lot of steps, it's very commercialized. It's very like I myself, let's say own a screen printing shop, I can just buy equipment and stuff to just make the manufacturing of this super easy. There are literally machines where you put let's say you have a finished shirt with the design on it or whatever, like one of these fucking guys. There's a machine that you can buy where it takes it off of the dryer conveyor belt. It goes onto a different conveyor belt. I want to see if I can find it. I'll show you. Um there's a machine, it goes from the little belt on the dryer where the t-shirts come out. A finished t-shirt comes out cured. It takes it, there's a fucking picture of it right there. Um it takes it, it folds it. It folds it whatever size. It like has a camera. It folds it. It puts it in a plastic bag, and then if you want, it'll put it in a box. It'll land it into a box. Bagged, tagged, folded. What the fuck? What the hell? What am I even doing at this point? As a screen printer, as a business owner, what the fuck am I even doing? I'm just standing there at the machine making sure the machine is going. That's all that capitalism is. It's just being able to buy the machine that does it for you so that you don't have to fucking pay somebody to do it, right? So when you work with these screen printing companies and with these manufacturing companies, you have to take into account that these guys are trying to make a profit too. These guys are making a profit off of you, the amount. So when I worked for this small to medium screen printing shop, we were getting in quotes for maybe 1,000 items, right? Maybe like 1,300 items. These would be hoodies, these would be t-shirts, these would be shorts, sweat shorts specifically. These would be sweatpants. And did I say t-shirts already? And t-shirts. A bunch of t-shirts. They want it in all different colors. They would want like maybe a couple of designs in different colors, and they wanted some to be puff ink, they wanted some to be regular ink, even though it's the same design. They wanted it very complicated. And because that's what I don't think people really understand as well, is that all of these YouTubers or all of these influencers who have maybe the same design but in like a bunch of different colors. But in just like a bunch of different colors. They're yeah, fold, stack, pack, and label. This thing's fucking crazy. And you know what's fucking wild? Is that this machine's like fucking like $30,000. I know for a fact that this machine's like so much goddamn money, which obviously puts a lot of smaller producers out of the market for a machine like this. So, what does that mean? That means that they have to pay somebody to do all of this stuff. And when they have to pay somebody to do all of this stuff, their margins are lower. When their margins are lower, they can't handle as many customers. When you can't handle as many customers, you're seen as a less reputable shop because you don't have as many customers or as many people um, fucking fucking exactly, brother. Like, we're putting out the efficiency of these large manufacturers is so high scale that there's no way in hell a small, medium, or even medium large manufacturer could ever keep up. Okay, so there's a lot of things happening within screen printing that are really important because there's also been an advent of heat presses. Everybody's got a fucking heat press. Everybody's got a heat press. Everybody's got a Cricut. You know, so the lowest echelon of merch can be really bad. Gildan uh bullshit with heat pressed images that are going to wash off in the wash after 3 times, and the shirt itself is going to fall apart on you. And then you have shit like LA Apparel t-shirts or uh fuck, what's that one other manufacturer called? Shockaware. A Shockaware t-shirt, you know, really thick, heavy t-shirt that they spent $25 just on the blank. And then they're also going to be putting this crazy fucking design on there that it's going to take some fucking screen printer goddamn hours to configure, even on a digital press, even on a huge digital press, just for it to, you can sell some 13-year-old a $45 t-shirt. Like, it's all poisoned. It's all poisoned, bro. the YouTuber's only paying like, I don't know, 30 a t-shirt themselves, and then so they got to sell it for 45 to for Ludwig to even make this $8,000 a month, and then think about how many that they're selling in order to make that 8,000, you know. And then a lot of t-shirt manufacturers have to come to the sad realization that a lot of people are buying accessories. The economy is so low, the economy is so broke that a lot of people are just buying accessories. A lot of your profit is going to come from the smaller shit, you know. And let's not forget our beautiful smart boy here, Milo Rossi, understands that. Sticker packs, pins, bro, this guy's got it down. Posters. This guy understands the relationship that screen printing has with merch instead of just the relationship that he has with merch being that of profiteering, right? So merch can be a little bit of a litmus test. I use it as a litmus test personally. Um and we have to uh also come to the conclusion, right? uh Most of the people that are running these large like genuinely huge screen printing shops, they're either running on razor thin margins or they're manufacturing in a different country. And that's just the long and short of it. You're either running on razor thin margins where you're not really paying your American workers a living wage, but still enough that they won't just quit, at least for a while. Or you are operating in a different country where you can just pay people less because the wages are less there, right? I've talked about this before. That's just the inshitification of every single industry is caused by the profiteering of that industry, right? So we think about times when you are at like a merch table at a concert or whatever, and you see that the fucking hoodie is $90 and you don't know why. That's why. Because they paid top dollar for the design, they paid top dollar for the sweatshirt. Sometimes they don't, but they're still trying to make profit off of you, because specifically for like concert merch and stuff, they have a lot more people cutting into their pie, right? So you have to pay the stadium, you have to pay the producers, you know, you have to, everybody's getting a piece of that pie, especially in terms of like a music or a political merch situation, right? So you, a lot of manufacturers in America are running on these razor thin margins. And then you have all of these YouTubers who want to save face. So they say that they are doing all that they can. You know, they really care. They spend a lot of time, a lot of effort on this merch that they're putting out, and they really want it to be stuff that you'll wear every day, regardless of the fact that it's merch. Because, as we all know, merch has this stigma of being kind of fucking ugly, and you know that that's the case, right? YouTuber merch, most YouTuber merch is kind of glorified bullshit that you'd find in the mall, um, that just so happens to be related to the YouTuber that you like, you enjoy, right? Um, the world economy is, it's 500 layers of renterism, and everybody rents to like, everybody is putting their paychecks into like maybe 30 dudes total, you know. Everybody, so that, yeah, that what you make a good point. Everything is, there are 300 layers to everything, and it's purely because at the end of the day, Everybody's just trying to get their paycheck. Everybody's just trying to make as much money as they can before they go home. That's disgusting. Just straight up. Just straight up. That's disgusting. And it shows up in everything we do. So like uh fuck, what's his name? Drew Gooden does a lot of videos like this. He talks about how media has been garbagified. He talks about how sports have been garbagified. He talks about how advertising is now all the way up your ass that you feel like you can't even fucking breathe anymore. Um and that's for this case and this case only, is that every single market is just looking for a way to make more money than they did last year. And there's only so far that you can take that. That's just the long and short of it. There's only so far that you can take that idea before every single influencer, every single YouTuber is making shit that either looks like a copy of a maybe a more experienced YouTuber's merch, or just the basic milk toast merch that you can find at any craft store. You can go to Michael's right now and pick up uh some very basic screen printing shit and do something like this right now. You could do that. But you can't do it 10,000 times. You can't do it 15,000 times. You can't then take all of those 15,000 shirts and pack them into boxes, first tagging them, making sure that you have the right size labels on them, putting cool custom special tags on there. Maybe they're sewn on, maybe you print them on. Everything takes time. You can't do that before, oh, I have a drop in March. I also have a drop in April. I also have a drop in on Christmas, and I have a Thanksgiving drop. Um, it's we do this because it is the path of least resistance. Capitalism is like lightning. It strikes hard, violently, and on the path of least resistance, right? To the ground, to the lowest levels. It ensnares people into doing what is most convenient constantly for themselves, regardless of how much money they have. And that, in turn, makes everything else look like, feel like shit, right? So you walk outside and you wonder why all of America looks like the same city block over and over again with 5 McDonald's, a Starbucks. It's because that's what's convenient for people, right? And when something's convenient, it's profitable. When something's profitable, people keep doing it. The more people keep doing it, the more people can put money into making it even more convenient. You see the cycle that I'm talking about? And then suddenly, people are surprised that there are monopolies. People are surprised that the only online shop that you can buy from and get an actually expedient delivery is Amazon. There's a reason why the only place that you can go where you can get the same coffee every single time while also paying more but less than you would at a smaller coffee shop, Starbucks. You know, I'm it there's we capitalism itself is an economy of convenience. The the capital owners have to do everything in their power to make it as convenient to spend money, not spend money, make money as humanly possible. And how do you do that? You make everything shit. You lower the quality of everything and you charge more for it. That's the only way that you can, because every single market has a production ceiling, right? But capitalism doesn't care about that. Capitalism wants more profit year over year. So what the only options that you have once you have made, let's say, the most efficient line of production for a certain product, the only way that you can then make more profit next year is by making something more shit, making your product shittier, less higher quality, or and charging more for said product. And shit, if you can't do either of those, just pay your employees less. You know? There's um so like that's the point, right? So the reason I'm even talking about all of this, the reason why this is important to me is because it's a marker. It's a marker for what you see in every single industry. It's the path of least resistance. If you have somebody who is speaking about merch, about clothing, about something that, according to them, they want you to connect with so much that you spend your hard-earned fucking money on it. If they have this kind of relationship with it, you've lost the plot. You've completely lost the plot. Um, and I man, it gets me really frustrated because this is my art form, you know. This is the art form that I've dedicated years to. A long, long time I've dedicated myself to screen printing and printing in general. And so to see so many people just using it as a profiteering tool, it's it's disgusting. And while I understand that that's kind of what screen printing has been since the invention of it, since the invention of the printing press, newspapers, political posters, you know, people have used printing as expression for a long, long time, and the capitalists will always continue to use um, physical media as a means to which uh, to not I'm gonna say control. That makes me sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's, you know, you are affected by the things that you see in public. You are affected by the things that your peers and the other people in your life express as good ideas to them. You know, that affects you mentally. So if you say, because let's be real here, if you live in a society where everybody's just wearing uh uh t-shirts that promote murder all the time, you're probably not going to want to live there for very long because you kind of get an idea of how things go around there, right? Um it's it's insulting to people to tell them, hey, buy my merch. It really supports me. I think it's something that I think it's a design that you would really like. They sit there and they convince you, um, that they have put in so much effort. And even if, yeah, they, even if they really sat down with the designer and really went through the design, making sure that it's something that they thought looked good, they had limitations. They couldn't put it on a custom hoodie. They couldn't put it on a crazy color that the manufacturer doesn't really offer. They couldn't um do these things And honestly, I remember the first time I was kind of surprised, but
Want to be, maybe you'll get there.
I was kind of surprised, but the first time I saw the Game Theory jacket and the Game Theory backpack, I was like, okay, see, that's interesting because MatPat actually took the time out of his day to work with the manufacturer so that he could get a custom backpack with these patches and with these secret little things on them. And the same thing with the jacket that had all the little mysteries on it. And while I think that's cool, I didn't really like the design. I just didn't think it really looked good. I'm not a big fan of Game Theory merch. I'm not a big neon green person. Um, but that's not really the point. The point is that he showed us that he works with the manufacturer. He cared about how it's manufactured. He cares about what it's like when you have it in your hands. You know what I mean? He was thinking about that when designing those things. He was thinking about the end user getting it and the experience that they would have with it. Whereas like a lot of these people, a lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these influencers aren't thinking about when the merch gets there, when the merch gets in your hands and what it'll look like on the person when they're wearing it, right? So you can just remember this. I'm going to end the stream here. It's been about an hour now. I've been yapping about this shit for about an hour. I'm probably going to cut this up, do a little bit more research, do a little bit more recording on this. But mainly, I just wanted to end this with this is a litmus test. This is a huge litmus test that you can put any influencer through if you feel like they don't truly maybe care about the things that they're doing. See if they offer merch, and if they offer merch, see if it has been subsequently merch slopped. If you got something like our buddy Mini Minuteman over here, where it's a couple of examples of merch slop, but more than half of it, if I mean like I'm pretty sure a good dead half right here is just like genuinely good products that you would want. You know, you could put this in a sticker book, put it in a scrapbook, put it on put these pins on a backpack, you know. um if it's obvious to you that the person who made this stuff, the person that you're supporting with your time, with your attention, and what they hope monetarily support them, have they thought about you as the person buying it? Are you gonna spend your hours of labor, the time that you spent wasting away at a fucking job, so that you could get this little bit of money to give it to somebody who doesn't give a shit about what it's like when you actually get that product? You know, even if the screen printer or the manufacturer didn't give a shit about what you thought, did the person you're watching, the person you are supporting, care? And if the answer is no, then don't fucking buy that shit. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't have it. I don't think I have any YouTuber merch, and I watch a lot of YouTube. Get down, get down, get off the fish tank. Ridiculous. Do they care? Just think about that. You know, really, really internalize that in your brain. But yeah, I've been Milk. Welcome back. A couple of videos soon. I have a lot of ideas. I just need to get in front of my computer and yap. But yeah, all right. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for talking to me. I appreciated you. Bye.